What would you be leaving behind when you die? I know that's a bit of a depressing way to start a video, but it's an important question. Most people just think about their belongings, like who gets all my money or who shall inherit my Funko Pop collection. But there is something much more important that you will be leaving behind. And no, not your family, I mean f those guys. I'm talking about something that you don't get any say in regards to what happens to it and is immortal. And that is your data. Long after I'm gone, people may still be watching this video in like the worst history class known to all kind. I would be dead and yet still here. A digital ghost in every machine. Which begs the question, is it possible to match the immortal nature of our digital presence with the finality of our death? I mean, there are companies that allow you to like schedule a message to be sent out once you die. And I can imagine that for a lot of people, these sudden messages from their dearly departed really freak them out. Imagine receiving a happy birthday message from your dead brother 5 months after the fireworks factory explosion. You'd understandably be a bit freaked out. But it's meant to act as some kind of echo from beyond the grave. A final message to be delivered and hopefully bring peace to the bereaved. Facebook also has legacy settings for this exact purpose. Once you die, your account becomes memorialized, frozen in time, and you can set controls to a legacy contact or just someone you trust. And they can write a new pinned post, accept new friends, manage tags, change your profile picture and cover photo, all on your decaying behalf. Effectively turning your Facebook account into a shrine, so everyone can remember that one time you went to Starbucks 3 years ago. And as much as I'd rather be remembered on Facebook rather than something like Best Gore, but this feature freezes all of your account activity, keeping it there forever for anybody who cares enough to come and have a look at it. And this is already the first step in your digital presence outliving you. However, it's increasingly becoming more possible for the data that you leave behind to take on a whole new life of its own. And this is where we get into the main topic of today, the terrifying rise of... Do you know about that one episode of Black Mirror called I'll Be Right Back? About a woman who lost her husband, and I mean, she didn't lose him, like she knows exactly where he is. But she starts talking to an AI-generated version of him and then orders a perfect replica of his body with all of his memories and experiences downloaded onto it, only to lock him in the attic because he was a spy or something, I don't really remember. It's been a long time since I watched that episode. Well, Ghostbots are basically the first part of that episode, like the AI-generated version of the dead guy. And I mention this because now you can use a combination of like AI and deepfake technology combined with all of the online data somebody left behind, so like all of their photos, their videos, even their emails, literally everything you've ever done online, AI software that can take all of that information to create a perfect visual representation of the deceased person now exists. Yeah, you can now talk to your dead people, which is supposed to help with grief. So we're already living in a Black Mirror episode, okay? Like that much is obvious. But the deeper we go and the more we think about all of the possibilities of this technology, the crazier you can tell this episode is going to be. Ghostbots have already got a lot of people, including mental health professionals, very worried. Psychotherapist Nigel Mulligan wrote in his article about Ghostbots, "I'm intrigued by the advent of Ghostbots, but I'm also a bit worried about the potential effect of this technology on the mental state of those using it, especially those who are grieving. Resurrecting dead people as avatars has the potential to cause more harm than good, perpetuating even more confusion, stress, depression, paranoia, and in some cases, psychosis." Notice how he mentioned the concept of resurrection. Because that's basically what this is. You're digitally resurrecting someone. Beating death by recreating their consciousness digitally. But would that digital consciousness ever really be them? Or would it always just be an imitation? So you can get all Ship of Theseus about it. The Ship of Theseus being the thought experiment of there's a ship called Theseus, and if you use it and you replace all of its parts over time to the point where you've replaced every single aspect of that ship, and then take all of those parts that you took off of that ship and build another ship, which one is the real Ship of Theseus? I think these would always be classed as just an imitation though, since these Ghostbots are just a digital recreation of your consciousness from all of the data that you left behind. And just as a side note, I don't think many people could handle being transformed into a digital consciousness. It would be cool to be a program though, like you're effectively immortal and the entire internet is just your playground. Until you realize that you can no longer eat, you can no longer sleep, you can no longer blink, you can no longer breathe. And I think that this alone would cause a lot of people to like have a mental breakdown and go insane. Like when an AI just starts repeating the same phrase over and over again for eternity until someone turns it off. I can also imagine that a lot of people would just be so overwhelmed by the speed of their own thought process. AI can think fast. Very, very fast. Humans only really think at around 10 bits per second, whereas an AI can think to up to billions or trillions of bits every single second. And I think that kind of processing speed to a human mind would probably like mess up your perception of time, you know? Like it's like time is relative. Like if you're able to think that fast, wouldn't that make a second feel like years? So within like a minute, I think that like the average human mind would just kind of go insane. You'd snap into some kind of cyber psychosis and, like I said, repeating the same phrase over and over and over again. Until somebody pulls the plug on you, killing you again. But that's just my theory behind straight analog to digital consciousness conversion. Although there could be a way of restricting the amount of bits per second processed to like a manageable level for a human mind. But still, I'm not a scientist, I'm just some dumbass on YouTube, so that's my theory at least. But again, Ghostbots are not conversions. They're digital reconstructions of your consciousness through all of the data that you provided throughout your entire life. So let's get into why that's...
This is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently.
Grief is... yeah, this is a fun video, isn't it? But grief is a very difficult time for anyone, and it has many stages. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And when experiencing grief, people tend to obviously recall a lot of memories of the recently deceased. It's also common to have more vivid and intense dreams involving that person. Sigmund Freud, when he wasn't just trying to justify his desire for incest, pointed out the potential added difficulties with grief if there's negativity surrounding somebody's death. Like how experiencing mixed or ambivalent feelings about somebody's death makes you feel more guilty. Or if the loss was due to some kind of like car accident or murder or some other horrific circumstance. These circumstances can obviously cause more difficulties when it comes to just accepting the loss. And this is known as melancholia or complicated grief. In some extreme cases of melancholia, a person can experience apparitions and hallucinate the dead person.
What the f*** you doing here? Identify yourself. Who the fuck are you?
Making them believe that they are still alive. And an AI Ghostbot could easily just further traumatize somebody going through this type of complicated grief and exacerbate all of the issues. So stuff like the hallucinations and like... I can imagine that that's more of an issue when it's like a text-based interface, like you're talking to the Ghostbot through text, because then you're still communicating with them, you're just not seeing them, so your brain's gonna make you see them.
I hate breathing, I hate being alive! I'm in tremendous pain, I'm in tremendous pain!
And since you would be able to get like a perfect visual representation of the dead person, would that stop the hallucinations from ever manifesting in the first place? Because you would literally have a perfect representation of them in front of you. Kanye West, because of course it's Kanye. Kanye gifted Kim Kardashian a hologram of her dead dad for her 40th birthday.
You're 40 and all grown up. You look beautiful, just like when you were a little girl. Remember when I would drive you to school in my tiny Mercedes every day and we would listen to this song together?
Which means that we already have the technology to give visual confirmation that somebody is still alive. But they're not. It's crazy. So Ghostbots could just trap people in the first stage of grief, denial. How could you accept that somebody is gone if they're right there? Oh my god, ads have been playing on that shit. I just got a different video playing on it because I thought it would be cool, but... Why does a 3-hour-long thing have ads on it in general? Like it's an ambient music background thing. Why would you put ads on ambient music background? How many ads have there been so far in this video that I haven't noticed? I don't even get ads on my videos, so I don't want to give them free advertising. Okay, I'm finding a different one. I'm gonna find a different one. If I don't get ads, they don't get ads. Okay, since we can't have nice medieval village, we're gonna have scary octopus ghost man. How could you accept, what a heavy subject to come back on after all that. How could you possibly accept that somebody is gone if you're able to talk to them, see them, and interact with them anytime you want? And this brings up the more philosophical question of, are they alive? Can a copy ever be alive? My personal stance on that is no. Like, no matter how perfect an imitation is, it's still an imitation. It's not them. But if you think otherwise, then please do let me know in the comments. Like, let's get a philosophical discussion going. But the fact that all of us are even gonna have to, like, stand up and say, no, I don't want to be reconstructed digitally like that.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
is insane to me. How dystopian are we going? We're supposed to have flying cars and smart houses at this point, not showing that we morally object to an AI hologram of Stan Lee. Because yeah, they put an interactive AI hologram of Stan Lee at the LA Comic-Con this year. It's not even till you're 90 anymore. They can milk you for profit long after that. Another major concern of these Ghostbots is that they could potentially say harmful things or just give bad advice to someone in mourning. Similar generative AI such as JetGPT have been known to just give false answers or just straight up lie to users. But just imagine an AI recreation of a dead person going rogue and saying a bunch of messed up stuff and suggesting horrible things to people. This has actually happened to a journalist called Kevin Roos in 2023, when a Bing chatbot told him to leave his wife. Now imagine how damaging it could be to someone who just conjured up the AI ghost of their dead father and it starts telling them to leave their wife, or saying that they never really loved them, or tells them to bet it all on black. I mean, that's actually a good idea, to be fair. And you can do just that on today's sponsor. I don't have any sponsors. What channel do you think this is? People experiencing mourning can be very susceptible to all kinds of mental manipulation and influence. So imagine that influence having the exact same face, the exact same voice, the exact same base personality of the person that they've lost. And all of this means that it is possible for an AI to convince that person to join them in death, or for that AI ghost to manipulate them into harming somebody else. Which could also add the extra, more conspiratorial effect of these corporations in charge of these AIs manipulating people in mourning, turning them into sleeper cells, and getting them to go out and attack their political rivals. Now that one might sound a bit improbable or frankly pretty insane for you, but if there's ever anything that you think a government or corporation wouldn't do, they definitely would, and they probably already have. And in fact, AI has already encouraged people to go out and attempt assassinations. In 2023, the Labour Party in the UK, yeah, I know, outlined a law that would prevent AI from being trained to incite violence, which I feel like should have probably been one of the rules in the first place. Okay, so don't swear, don't be mean, don't influence or encourage people to destroy each other to the point where our only option is to hand over ultimate power to unbiased and unfeeling code and establish a worldwide technocracy. Also, don't call yourself Mecha Hitler. But the UK government did that after this man, Jaswant Singh Chahal, if that's how you pronounce it, broke into Windsor Castle with a crossbow to try and assassinate the Queen. And all things aside, what a crazy weapon to choose. He chose to break into a medieval castle, which is already it's built specifically to keep people out, with his weapon of choice being a fucking crossbow. Obviously I'm not supporting what he did, but that's kind of crazy. And this was all encouraged by his AI chatbot girlfriend, with whom he apparently had an emotional and sexual relationship with. And I've done a big video about AI chatbots, so go check that out if you want to know more about how these bots do that. And yet another issue with AI chatbots, because yes, there's more, is how easily they could be monetized. Companies would be able to profit insane amounts off of people's grief and desperation to reconnect and interact with their lost loved ones. It'll be like where you can only access it for £100 an hour, advertised in a way where it's meant to be used for the final words, the final goodbye, to say that one thing you never got the chance to say to them before they were gone. It'll be advertised that way so that when people sink their entire paychecks into it and ruin their entire financial situation to use their system, they won't have liability for it. Because that's not what it was made for. They never made it with the intention of people becoming addicted to it and spending loads of money on it. Companies would never profit off of something like that. Research suggests that Ghostbots and other technologies like it should only be used temporarily, to aid in the mourning process to avoid addiction and overdependence on that technology. But do you really think that if that exists, people are going to restrict it like that? You just know that there's going to be some 3-tier payment system where Ultra Deluxe grants you not safe for work access so you can upload their nudes and watch it in real time. Oh, I hate how that could actually happen. That's an actual possibility. Fuck. Then imagine if you could interact with celebrities' ghosts. Yep, that's already happening. Meta allows you to talk to AI versions of Kurt Cobain, Ozzy Osbourne, and any on an endless list of deceased celebrities, which surely just shouldn't be legal. There's physically no way that Kurt Cobain gave permission to Meta for them to do this. But he also didn't say that they couldn't, so they're gonna do it anyway. We're at a place technologically now where anything is possible. Data and the essence of a person can be stored and retrieved indefinitely, so no person is ever truly lost again. But humans are designed to forget. We are made to experience and go through grief, and forgetting is a very important element of the grieving process. But in order for us to forget and move on, we have to find personal ways to remember and honor the deceased. We have funerals and anniversaries not only as a way to remember them, but as a way to remember them in a new way. Throughout all cultures of all human civilizations that have ever existed, there are different ways to celebrate death. Different rituals and symbols that all mark the end. And we do all of this because we need to know how to properly remember them in order to properly forget them. But of course, we're also creatures of nostalgia. We don't want to forget. We would all much rather be able to freeze a place, a page, a person in time than to ever accept that it's gone. But the longer you stay frozen, the more you rot. And if you live with ghosts, then you're already dead. And that's it for this video. I'm sorry for leaving on such a morbid note like that, but you know, this is just what's happening. And thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. It really does mean a lot to me. I've got plenty of other videos that I'm sure you'd also enjoy. And please make sure that you put in your will that you do not want to be recreated digitally in any way, shape, or form, because that's something that we have to worry about now. Have a great day.